James from TDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I am going to be talking about two White2Tea productions from 2017-2018. See how they have been doing. In my experience, not everything from White2Tea has been doing great, but I think these two are both doing relatively fine. So why this comparison? Well, I put these teas both in my Boulong report. Not that I know that they are both from Boulong, but one in particular, the Untitled O2, has a decent enough profile that seems like it, and I thought the Lucky Puppy might be close enough too. Some people might disagree. And it's an interesting era for White2Tea because this is, they're definitely a few years into it. I think they pressed originally in 2013 or 2014. And so at this point, they really are kind of fully committing towards being kind of that boutique producer. So yeah, it'll be interesting to try these. I haven't, frankly, not revisited too much of the White2Teas, but yeah, these are some samples I picked up. So these have been aged in southern China rather than in Seattle. So probably a little bit more of an ideal place to age the tea there. So yeah, curious to compare these two and see how they do. I'm also going to be doing my side-by-side a little different here. I think it makes sense to stick with one tea for a few steeps, and then we will move on to the other one, just so we can more clearly determine aftertaste and whatnot when it comes to these. So these teas have both made an appearance in the Boulong report, so go ahead and check that one out. Wanted to include some teas just from different sources, so there are some more kind of older school factory teas from like Nanqiao and Monghai Tea Factory, and then more kind of in between, so some Chen Chang Hao's here, and now some White2Teas as well. So yeah, let's get into comparing these teas. Okay, so we are starting with the tea on the right. So like I said, we won't be doing the direct side-by-side here. It'll be a couple steeps here, and then we will move over to the tea on the left. And as is the case in TDB episodes, we go unnaturally fast, so we're going to be brewing infusion number 2 already. Here, I did give these teas both a double rinse too, not because they're dirty or anything. These teas are very new, young teas, especially for me to be drinking. I tend not to drink teas from this age range, but just so we can get to the juice quicker. Okay. So you could say that there's some color developing already in these teas, something that I don't know would have been the case for sure if we had been brewing these from Seattle storage. Some fruit, some pectin, maybe a little bit of woodiness coming into this right now. So yeah, we will cheers. And so my experience with both of these is I did prefer the Lucky Puppy on my initial couple sessions of this. My experience was that the Untitled O2, and this is one thing I will be looking out for because this is blind, is it had a bitterness to it that I didn't necessarily love. It didn't resolve as quickly as the Lucky Puppies, which I found to resolve quite quickly. So what do I mean by that? I mean that those aggressive notes are there, but it ends up eventually coating your mouth in sweetness, whether it's kind of the Huigan, the returning sweetness into your throat and whatnot, or just kind of a just more just like your whole palate. So this is good. It's thick. I would expect both teas to be thick. It's very sturdy. It kind of has this pungent mouthfeel that reminds me a little bit of solid 7542s. Probably not 7542s from the same era. Some hay. Less of the fruit in the cup for sure. The bitterness is not super quickly resolving here. So it has some of that kind of like sharpness that's just staying in the mouth. Here's steep 2. So yeah, let's do 3 steeps and we'll see. And the third one, you know, honestly, if I was brewing this purely for pleasure, I would keep it flash, but let's go a little bit longer just to see what these teas are made of. Yeah, go maybe just 5-10 seconds longer. So it is converting now. Not a ton in the throat yet, but kind of just in the palate. So it's not lingering in the case of that first steep. A little bit longer. I'm going to brew infusion number 1 over here too. Take advantage of the double cha highs that we got going on. Probably not a ton of interest in terms of storage from either of these teas. More acorn, maybe some nuttiness coming off this too, a little more floral perhaps on that one. And, you know, if I reviewed my notes of these teas from the Boulong Report, I bet I could ID these already, but I don't remember. It's been about half a year since I drank through those. Darker, woodsier here. I'd say aroma-wise, I prefer this one on the right. Whether that's true of the actual teas, I'm not sure yet. Really woodsy, extremely sturdy. It feels like this is just very... it feels like this is like kind of the Burley style boutiques for sure. Usually I'm associating Burley with more of factory style tea, something like non-child double iron, something like that. It's definitely not fast converting. I would probably guess that this is the Untitled. Based on that, just knowing that the main characteristics that I associated was a little bit more of a slower converting bitterness. Definitely a lot of texture, a lot of mouthfeel here, just very strong. I get that, I associate that a bit with kind of like Lao Manor type teas, and I don't know if that means it's like, is that more of a style or it needs to be specifically from there. And I will say it's impressive in a way, and I also don't love it in another way, just because I don't like it really when that bitterness lingers too much. So yeah, let's do steep number 3. It is converting a little bit slowly, but we'll see how this goes. Cheers. That is strong, yeah. I'm not ready for such young tea. Yeah, so this is Untitled. It's 10 years old now. And it's just a more exaggerated form of the previous one. Just a really strong mouthfeel going on here. It just hits your whole palate. Going to be very difficult to taste teas properly after something like that. So this will be interesting in that sense too. I don't feel the need to drink these all the way. So yeah, let's do this tea on my left here. Reboil this water. Just make sure we're dealing with nice and hot water here. All right, so well, let's sit with that Untitled. Just a really powerful mouthfeel, a little bit anesthetic. I can feel it slightly converting now, a little more sugary. Interestingly, I smelled that fruit and that pectin early on. Never really materialized in terms of taste. And yeah, it does convert. It's just... yeah, not a ton of activity in the throat, more in just kind of the roof of the mouth. Fruitier, floral. This one's deeper and darker, this tea on the right. Cheers. The body's good. Not overly strong compared to that, but the body you can still tell is pretty substantial. I think it'd feel even more substantial if I didn't just drink some steeps of the other tea. But a little bit of a softer approach here. This to me feels like the sweeter, more approachable tea of the two. And, well, let's just make sure that we're hot. And I will give this one the 10 seconds treatment. Feels like the Huigon's much faster here. A lot of sweetness happening very quickly. So, yeah, in some ways, I feel like the more rugged tea is the Untitled. Potentially, if my guess is correct, that this one on the right is, whereas this one on the left is more. Maybe didn't brew that long enough, but whatever, it's fine. Has a really nice mouth coating effect on this. A lot of sweetness happening right now from that, and that's why we are going sequentially here. And probably ideally more time would be spent just sitting in the aftertaste and whatnot. But yeah, we're recording an episode, so I don't want to hear myself monologue for that long, so I won't subject other people to it either. Cheers. It is getting stronger, interestingly. Yeah, these are both strong teas, no doubt about it. They both have a strong, pervasive mouthfeel to them. I do feel like the one on the right, I would still say, is a little bit stronger. Kind of a brown sugar note coming into this. Steep number 3. Sure this camera doesn't turn off. So a lot of floral, a lot of brown sugar. I think someone I saw speculated that this was Northern, and I suppose it's possible. I just, to me at least, it feels like the base is Manghai County, but I could be totally wrong on that. The base is substantial in a way that I enjoy. I tend to be a little bit allergic to the profiles of Northern teas, stuff like Bingdao or labeled as Bingdao type teas. Tend not to be for me. But yeah, I like this. I prefer this tea on the left. The one on the right has an impressive potency to it, but I think it's not quite as much for me. So my guess is this the Lucky Puppy. If it is, it should be A. It should be B. A was Untitled, and so yeah, this is B. So Lucky Puppy here. So my guess is correct, and A is the Untitled, which was the stronger, more sharp, pervasive bitterness. Interesting, definitely, to compare these two. And a little bit more of a contrast than I thought. I thought they might be a little bit more similar in form. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me know what your experience is with these teas. I don't bring on White2Teas too often, so I'll definitely be curious to hear how other people place these too. And I think if I were to bet, I would definitely bet on the Lucky Puppy over the Untitled, even though Untitled is strong. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.